and where I've come from. So in the beginning, on the left-hand side, you see the house. My parents, they were in the military. They met in Anchorage, Alaska. I was born in Lubbock, Texas, and I spent my early childhood in Zaragoza, Spain for the first 5 years, started school there. And then we relocated to Florida. I was raised in Brevard. I went to Titusville High School. I played volleyball and softball. Yes, I see the comments. Brevard, yeah, that's me. And so from Titusville, I actually got a full scholarship in softball to attend Florida Agricultural Mechanical University. And that is a historically Black college and university that's in Tallahassee, Florida, about 1.5 miles away from FSU. Now, during my time at FAM, I studied broadcast journalism. And as an athlete, I'm a 2-time Mid-Eastern Athletic softball champion. I was also the first left-handed pitcher ever recruited to FAMU. And while I was there, I also worked with ESPNU Campus Connection, doing some sideline reporting and sports anchoring as well. Now, when I graduated, I received a postgraduate internship. It was a 1.5-year postgraduate internship at Disney doing sports public relations. Now, although it said internship, it was a full-time job. You had a stipend, you had 40 hours, you had a high expectation of delivery. One thing that I definitely learned from working at Disney is that although you may not know, you're expected to learn and perform at the same time, because in school, my background was broadcast, and then I jumped directly to sports public relations. And so then after that postgraduate internship ended, I started doing some graduate coursework at UCF. At that point, the fact that I had separated from journalism and did PR, I was conflicted as to, do I go back in full pursuit of journalism? And the answer was, actually, how about you just pack up and move to New York instead? So let's table that decision. So I moved to New York with $5,000 worth of savings, with no confirmed job, but just knowing that New York was the place that I needed to be to really pursue what my next steps were. And so while I was in New York, I actually started off working in Times Square pre-COVID at Olive Garden as a server, just to make sure that I'm generating income. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's okay to be completely humble. You need to be able to make income to feed yourself, to pay your bills. And while you're figuring out your goals, it's okay to work where you have to work. There's no shame in that at all. So at the same time, I was considering grad school again, and I actually applied to the Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY. I was accepted, but at the same time, I received a job offer at Scholastic. And I didn't want any more student loans, so I chose the work route, and so I accepted the position at Scholastic. And then 4 to 6 months into that, HMH acquired Scholastic's Ed Tech department, which I was under, and that's how I wound up at HMH. So that was a long little bucket of my background. The next slide, please. And so with that brief background, that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about today: authenticity in action. You could forward it. Okay, so basically, when it came to interviewing for the role at Scholastic, I initially wasn't aware that it was a full-time temp position, or even what a temp position was, to be completely honest. All I knew is I was guaranteed 40 hours a week and that I could afford to pay my rent in New York. So sign me up, I accept the job offer. The ultimate goal for me was honestly just getting in the door. I was confident that I could perform well no matter what the task was. You know, my history as an athlete, my experience in broadcast and public relations, to me, all of that could easily be applied to the role in publishing and marketing. At the end of the day, it all boiled down to one thing, and that's great storytelling across whatever platform that is. And so to walk you through the bottom, what you see where it says temp for 2 years, like what that period looked like, it wasn't short. So from Scholastic, that 4 to 6 months that I was a temp employee, transitioning to HMH, I was still a full-time temp. And then we transitioned to a full-time hire. So that changed from hourly to salary. And I've been here for 3 years. And you could go to the next slide. With the skill set that you develop, I'm just going to go ahead and read this out. The term cachet. Now, certain high-end brands have a particular cachet or respectability. Now, people know that they're the finest of their kind. the word cachet comes from the French cachet, meaning the seal affixed to a letter or document. And if something has cachet, it's as if it has a seal of approval from society. So with all the skill sets that I acquired, that is the mindset. That was my focus, is deliver cachet. Like when someone says your name, they have a confidence that you're able to deliver. And I just want to stop real quick. And I do want to ask a question to the AmeriCorps members. Can you guys share examples of what you all, of what transferable skills are? Your thoughts on what those are? Anyone in particular? Okay. Okay, so so anyways, I'll give examples of transferable skills, whether it's technical skills, being able to use Microsoft Office or Excel, workplace skills, fitting into the company culture, being reliable, a strong communicator. Can you work well with the team? Those are all very important. And also leadership skills. Are you able to listen? Are you able to influence? Can you inspire your colleagues? These are all transferable skills that are highly needed in today's corporate space, and it honestly, like across the board, like people need to be nice and people need to work with you, just to be frank. In the next slide. So with all of that, you know, as a Black woman, I have to work, I feel as if I have to work twice as hard to get half as far. Some call that drive. I call that survival. So in many ways, throughout my journey, I felt overlooked, underutilized, uninspired. And unless I told myself, unless I was ready to quit, I had to figure out a plan to get from dejection to determination. Next slide. So what do? You change the narrative. Now, it's no secret that corporate America is overwhelmingly white. It's honest. And with that comes privileges that as a person of color, you are not immediately privy to. So in those moments when I felt alone or isolated in my experiences, I was always reminded of this one quote by Maya Angelou: "I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Now, when we were in the office, again, pre-COVID, I literally have this quote handwritten at my desk, and I use that as a constant reference point. And so when I read that, you know, I'm reminded to always stand tall, to know that you're powerful as an army and that your ancestors have your back. And thinking that, what do you have to be afraid of? Nothing. And I always get emotional when you think about your ancestors, but you literally are never alone. Next slide. So what do? You flip the script. You know, find ways to show value. If you're not presented with opportunities, create them. Show up for yourself. Have confidence that you are capable of setting and achieving challenging goals. The next slide. Okay, and so how do you achieve those goals? How do you get started? You build community, you get to work. And even if you don't know what you're doing, incredible things happen if you just decide to start. And to walk you through these images on the right-hand side, this is how I clicked in my head. So how do I navigate this space? So the top one's a little bit blurry because it's a video and I took a screenshot of. But basically, you know, working at a publishing company, having access to all these resources and books, and living at Harlem at the time, going home, I'm seeing children that are going through foster care system and working with these different organizations. So what I elected to do was these books that were actually in the process of being destroyed, I salvaged, got them boxed up, and I donated them to a local Harlem organization. Now, when it comes to involvement, in addition to that, so yes, they got the books donated, but again, it's about showing your value, showing your skill set. My background's in broadcast, so I created a video. I edited, did my little post-production, posted it on LinkedIn, YouTube, all the channels, and then I'm getting feedback from our multimedia department within HMH. Oh, I saw what you've done. Exactly. If they see, when people see things that you do rather than are told or given, they're more prone to reach out and to want to connect and to explore and work with someone that's proactive, that's a proactive thinker. In the middle photo, this is through volunteer week years, I want to say like 2 years ago, I don't quite remember. But either way, I don't have any children for myself at this point, but I love working with kids. They're very important to the work that I do on a daily basis. So having opportunities to show myself in these spaces where people can see that there's another Black girl, another Black person that wears cornrows and extensions and weave or even natural is able to have a corporate job. So I wanted to be the representation to a lot of little Black girls. In addition, building community, since I relocated to New York, softball has always been an important part of who I am. And so I became a coach. I never coached before, and I can't say that I was necessarily the easiest person to coach growing up. So I was really excited for the opportunity to impart my passion again with the youth. The next slide. And so then as an advocate for inclusive spaces, I think what's deeply important and really uncomfortable is making noise. And I just want to share this story from February of 2019. You know, Black History Month happens every year for the 28 days. And I noticed that although I was seeing some external communications or blog stories that was promoting Black History Month, what I recognized is there is no acknowledgement for internally acknowledging Black history within our own company. And what really kind of set me off personally is that, again, it was like February 27th, and there was an all company call, and, you know, they're making mention of Women's History Month, which is in March. And I'm just like, we're still in February, and you haven't even acknowledged Black History Month near the last month of February, but we're going to talk about March, you know, Women's History Month. And at that point, I was angry. So it's just like, okay, so what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and just stew in my emotions? And I was just like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. It's a group call. I'm in the chat, and I'm just being really respectful, but honestly, just sharing, just acknowledging the fact that, listen, why haven't we supported our own? Point blank. And what I appreciated is the acknowledgement of that. And then on top of that, the promise to fix it in the future. So what started in 2019 as a complete oversight, completely proactive come around this year. And to launch Black History Month, I was actually a spotlight for it. And so it was just like a full circle moment. It's just like, I knew something didn't feel right. I said what I had to say, and the response was actually positive. I was scared, but guess what? It was positive, and it didn't work out the other way. Then I still would have gone to sleep knowing that I said something. The next slide. Okay, so now, ways of working. I don't know if we could zoom this in a little bit because I was gonna read these a little bit, but basically, to start, like, get a mentor. Honestly, I can't say that I would still be here if I didn't have a mentor. I've been so blessed to be able to connect. In my personal relationship is, one, you have, not only do you need a mentor, you really have to understand how to be a great mentee. The relationship is a give and take. You need to have questions, be helpful, solve problems, be respectful of people's time, and don't try to use anybody. Like, yes, there's ways in which you would want to advance your career through an access that a mentor can bring, but are you the type of person that they would want to open a gate, you know, open the door for you? Like, really, like, work hard to make sure that they're thinking of you just in the same sense that you're thinking about them. How can you improve each other's lives? And also, I would really suggest networking across. I have been seeing some comments of people saying, oh, love the pictures, love the pictures. Quick story. I didn't pay for any of these. Yes, they're all me. But the thing is like, working with colleagues and establishing friendships across the company, you find out what people are passionate about, what they're into on the random weekends. And I was able to work through a majority of these photos by bartering lunch for a photo shoot during the hour lunch break. And here I am able to use it in a presentation over a $4 gyro. So, like, there's really ways, like, you don't always have to just be super obsessed with wanting to, like, climb the corporate ladder, but honestly, just look to your left and to your right, and collectively build and grow your own teams. Like you just don't always have to look up, but just look across and stay curious. I think one thing about myself is I really enjoy learning, not necessarily always being a book every single day, but there's LinkedIn learning courses, there's different workshops, there's just communicating with other people and just learning what they're into. There's just so many ways that you can learn and grow every single day. And I just really want to encourage folks to always stay curious. And in addition, be bold. Life is definitely about taking risk. And in order for us to really reach our ultimate success, we have to stop playing small and start embracing your future. The next slide. I've talked so fast. I didn't know I was already on the last slide. Okay, so ultimately, focus on improving yourself so you can improve the world. The world needs each and every one of us, and I really want to encourage you all to truly believe that you are enough. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lish. That was absolutely beautiful, really powerful. I definitely took so much away from that and really glad you're able to share that. Send some love to her in the chat, y'all.